How to Write a Perfect Power System by Shonen OG. We meet again, my G.
K fans claim it has some of the best fights in manga, so naturally it must have a pretty good power system to fuel those fights. But how good is it really? Where would it rank compared to, say, JoJo's or Hunter x Hunter? In this video, I'd like to share the 5 things that contribute to any power system, explain how they separate good power systems from bad power systems, and discuss whether Jujutsu Kaisen really has a perfect power system. Now, obviously, nothing is going to be absolutely perfect, as something one person loves can be.
This is bait! How dare you? How dare you to say that, bro? You put some parentheses, not parentheses, quotes on perfect, but you didn't do that. Should have known that. You should have known that.
Stupid or overbearing by another. But there's a few things everyone can agree on to some extent that gives us some idea of what the ideal power system
Some.
looks like. The first thing any
Ideal.
power system needs is rules. This one should be a no-brainer, but it's a part that often gets underappreciated. Because, as we'll see later, it's the quality of...
You need a set rule system for every story. Same thing for anything shonen. Set your premise, set your world building, set your characters, set the power system, dynamic, how it's gonna go. Was it rock, paper, scissors? What, fire, fire, water, earth, air, all that stuff, bro. Make it make sense for the viewer to understand the core fundamentals of it in the beginning of the story, and either you want to have it hard locked in the beginning or evolve it over time, like One Piece with Haki, which was like introduced sometime before. No, but it was introduced in Skypiea and got evolved. It got shown more in Marineford War, and after everything else in One Piece, that was like Observation Haki, Armament, and Emperors. So as well as like double fruits, 3 things, not 3 things. Wait, is it 3 things? I think it's 3 things. Paramecia, Logia, uh, Zoan. Big 3 right here. So that's the properties is very fluid, very broad. So there's always room to improve. If a system is broad enough that it needs like updates to its power system, that's a good example right there. It involved JJK where said person will claim that this is how the rule is, and you then have other people pulling up with techniques that should have been taught or even exemplified in the beginning of the series. But I'm supposed to believe that it's always been here because what? Why? What? Now it's here? It's random BS, bro.
these rules in a story that determines how much people like the power system. If there's no rules, then it's just some Lord of the Rings nonsense where a character can do all this cool stuff because, oh, it's magic.
Wait, but there are rules. There are certain conditions that gotta be met with certain magical beings. If Ganondorf truly want to learn the Fey with Balrog without his staff, he would have done that. But he need that staff to channel his power to do what he needs to be done. He's pretty damn powerful. A lot of people in Lord of the Rings need certain incantations, certain mediums, either themselves or certain objects to channel their powers. So I don't know why is this here, Shonen OG. How does that make any sense? Have you really watched the series like that or read the books?
If there's no structure or limitations, then the abilities are only as cool as you can make them flashy, because at that point the writer is just making up whatever for the sake of the plot. In the case of Jujutsu Kaisen, we do in fact have clear rules. In this world, almost every character has cursed energy, which is the product of accumulated negative emotions. Through training, sorcerers can learn to observe and detect cursed energy and even apply it into cursed techniques. There's obviously a lot more to it, but those are the basic rules. So when we watch fights in JJK, we...
Yeah, a lot more to it until you realize that this dude, Gege, did not know what the hell he was doing. He's just going through the motion, going through the flow, and then you realize, oh shoot, my issue is trash. How I fix this? Oh yeah, binding vows. Binding vows after binding vows after binding vows after binding vows. What's the freaking consequence of binding vows? Something bad happens, said by Kanjaku, but then again, we barely see those freaking punishments gets activated. What's up with that, Gege? What's up with that? You have been Sukuna get all these binding vow treatments and limiting himself. And not one time I saw a character break that binding vow to do something and his life was on the line. If that was the case, I would get it. I would say, hey, if you break that binding vow, you die. Make it that simple, but you never did it. You just uh, alluded to something bad would be terrible. But does it have to be death? Does it have to be something you live with it for the rest of your life? Or worse, you sold yourself to the devil. I don't know. Blame Gege.
that Akutami is making up on the spot. But we'll get into why the rules are so important later in the video. As important as rules are, there's something else that's just as important. The second thing any good power system needs are cool abilities. On the one hand, it's no fun when characters can...
Cool abilities. I mean, they're all gonna be cool abilities. It doesn't matter how you use it. Naruto had the Rasengan right after the whole stuff was going on with the Hill Leaf Village, the invasion, all that stuff. With Jiraiya, the Rasengan. Over time, the Rasengan, he was still having his clones to do it for him because he had to do it by himself. But it was still pretty powerful. But over time, he started to like get his Rasengan out without busting out his freaking clones. And the first time I saw that was like him versus the fake Itachi when he pulled up in the I think in the show, not the manga. In the show, he pulled up with a Rasengan in his hand. On like instinct, he able to do it by himself. Like, okay, that's cool. But I'm guessing that because he did it by himself, it wasn't that powerful. So if he ever want to like bust out powerful Rasengan, he busts out more clones and he'll use just that. So, or later on down the line, he invents the Rasen Shuriken, something that's so damaging that will like destroys you in a freaking anatomic level, like straight up atomizes you, like it ripping you apart piece by little pieces. But that goes to anybody, bro. It's pretty busted. It's pretty damn busted. And then you have like multi-sided clone Rasen Shuriken, multi-sided big Rasengan, blah blah blah. Adding modification to that set move will make Naruto a threat. Because that move is supposed to destroy you from the inside out. And like that's nasty. Then you add the Rasen Shuriken to it. Ugh, nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. Because of his reserve of chakra, he can do that. Then if you bring to anybody else, they can only do the basic Rasengan. Or the big Rasengan like Jiraiya. Or a basic Rasengan like Kakashi. Or the vanishing Rasengan like Boruto. Just modification of the same move, bro. Ain't that crazy? Just modification of the same move. You would add some things to the mix of it. It would just be that. The ultimate go-to to any of name attack. That's... It takes a lot of training too. I ain't gonna lie, it took a lot of training, but that training was so That made me think like I don't think y'all need to do all that just to nah you did. Not to have to control his chakra, it was too much. Anything else like all training is like passable, it's passable. But that's like one example right there. Did it have to be cool? Nah, at first. But can it be cooler over time? Sure. Do it all have to be cool? That is a prerequisite to all power systems? No.
But on the other hand, yeah, it's nice to have this neat little power system, but if the abilities are all kind of lame, then it defeats the point of coming up with the power system in the first place. Because the whole point is to make the fights engaging. So at the very least, they gotta have some cool abilities. Personally, I can't think of any power systems that are like this across the board. However, one example that comes to mind is Fairy Tail. And before I get all kinds of hate from my fellow Mashima fans, no, I am not saying Fairy Tail has a bad power system. But I think it is perfectly fair to say that it has its clear winners, and then it has its
very broad.
Those kinds of fights, it's hard to care when the character has some weird-ass magic that's honestly pretty lame. Thankfully, this isn't a problem in Jujutsu Kaisen. Obviously.
Or characters who just have a weakness that's gets ignored for the sake of the funnies. I'll never forget the fact that this dude Nasu ate a freaking Lacrima and it doesn't kill him. And don't tell me like the whole demon END's crap, bro. I'm not even sure if Mashima thought that far ahead with Nacho being a demon, him not being human. Because other like besides him being a demon, anybody can just be very strong and do very like big crazy crap without being like another species of being. But if you're gonna say to me that because Naruto wasn't a human, 100% a human, and he was a demon, then the whole bypass of using additional powers would kind of make sense. Was still stupid, like. It's still being stupid. Even though you say it makes sense, doesn't mean it cannot be stupid. If it exists, I still think it's stupid, personally. I mean, you think it's genius? I'm proud to you.
JK has its own spectrum too. Not all abilities are made equal. But considering it's the series that's infamous for being carried by hype, I don't think we need to go into too much more detail on this one. On that note,
Just like Solo Leveling, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't post it out. If you saw it, if you saw my review before this video, you already know. If not, check that video out. The new review for episode 13. You're gonna see my true feelings about Solo Leveling. What I really feel about the series itself. Check that out. But here's a short rundown. It's hype to the max. I did say one time that it will be better than Demon Slayer, and I was freaking right. I was right. Since freaking season 1 and now, this season, new season, bro. I was freaking right. Span of 2 seasons is better than Demon Slayer, bro. Bar none. Even though the story is mid, I was right. Because the hype was the definition of hype. The hype. I'll explore more detail in that in my review. So, peep that.
let's talk about the third thing every power system needs. Actually, before I do that, make sure to like the video if you're enjoying it so far.
Yeah, my face with that.
There's the rules and then there's the application of the rules. So, for example, let's take something like Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has a clear power system. Every character.
No! No, 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 no. No, it doesn't. You want to know why? Because Ki is freaking broad, too. So broad that you can make up any BS you want. So stupid. Sometimes a beam can destroy a mountain or destroy a freaking planet. But that all can be different with Ki control, right? Everybody can get very strong when you power off hard enough, bro, right? It's not that good, bro. It's not that good. If people was like using other means to like fight, they would have done that, bro. Like everybody using Kienjan to just summon a freaking blade that'll cut through freaking anything. However, if that person is strong enough, that freaking cut will be useless. But so for some reason, right? Krillin did that to Frieza in second form. But the Cell, I know, he's overly powerful. Overly powerful. And at that moment, I'm like, yo, who can ever be cut by freaking by the Kienzan, the Destructive Jits again, bro? Because the last time I saw that, Goku was using that. It was just some platforming stuff. But that tells me that almost anybody, if they want to, like Yamcha, Tien, maybe even Chaozu, maybe even Gohan, even Piccolo, can use the Kienzan themselves. If Goku can do that, anyone else can do it. Same thing like if people want to learn Kaioken. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can use Kaioken. But if everybody can use Kaioken, Goku not special. Remind me so much of Soul Leveling, bro. It's not even funny. Even though Soul Leveling have other people have different powers. People are healers, mages, berserkers, whoever to call them, bro. Thieves. Definitely, most definitely. People could have that certain like little similar ability to each other. But the highest level is depends on like who you have, bro. Jin was the exception. Cause he'll get stronger more so than anything else. And that is the issue with the problem with self-leveling. Like if he become like the big strong dude around, everybody gotta depend on Jinwoo. Same thing depend on Goku. Everybody depend on Goku. Not the other guy over there or over there or over there. Just have to be Goku. Otherwise, the dude's not special. You are my, you see what I'm saying? Don't make me start. Don't get me started with Jason King crap.
And they manipulate Ki in order to use certain techniques. Now, those are the rules, and some of the applications have a logical.
Wait, that's not the. Who said that, bro? Let me see that. Let me hear that again. You said what?
Manipulate Ki in order to use certain techniques. Now, those are the rules.
Manipulate Ki and use it at techniques. What was Frieza's technique when using his abilities? When he want to launch a death beam, he does that. When he want to do a death ball, he does that. That's not a technique. That's a something he can do. He's using the energy he had within himself to create things to kill you with it. That's what he does. And you want to talk about techniques? Like the androids, yeah, they have like technique from fighters from the past to now to the present. But look, the spear bomb's a technique. The death beam is not. You just concentrating a singular point from your fingertips to just shoot somebody with it. That's what you're doing. That's not no rules. There ain't no set rules. Bro, I should freaking read Dragon Ball. I should read Dragon Ball, watch Dragon Ball, the beginning of a series. That's not no rules, no set rules. If you can do it, you can do it. What was the procedure for Goku to use the Kamehameha the first time he did it? He watched someone do it, and he did it himself. Directly. There's certain poses, positioning, you know, and he busts out that freaking Kamehameha, destroys that freaking card, bro. I'm like, where was the freaking rule to that? He threw it was an exception. Can anyone else like do the same thing Goku does? Not everyone. But when it comes to time, everybody was out here doing Kamehameha. Yamcha, Gohan. Yo, actually Master Roshi, like before, after like Goku, Master Roshi, there was Gohan, Yamcha, who else? Some other people, I think Cell as well. Goten, I mean. Like people could just do the Kamehameha far in between, blah blah blah. Even Boo, because his ability can just do the Kamehameha. So it's like, okay, if people can do the Kamehameha, why not Kaioken? Why not instant transmission? When you sharing freaking abilities around, of course, the thing that make people special will not be special anymore. But then again, a lot of people would current transform into Saiyans like that, bro. So when that freaking process like transform to Super Saiyan is no longer that special, come to Goku, it's a mid. However, you can make the argument like, there's people are different, the process is different, the killing back thing is different, the I want to be Super Saiyan is different, but the I'm big mad is different. Where's the rule? Where's the rule? Where's the rule?
And some of the applications have a logical connection to those rules. So if you use a beam attack, that's just channeling your energy and releasing it. If you fly, that's manipulating your ki in order to move around. But then you get into the weirder abilities like transformations and teleportation, and suddenly the characters are kind of just doing whatever. Not that you can't rationalize what they're doing, but there's less of a logical connection between those weirder abilities and the rules of the world. That is the key difference. Because you can have all the rules in the world.
And the freaking rule is not clear. You're wrong.
But it's just as important that there be a logical relationship between the rules and the applications of those rules. And for the most part, Jujutsu Kaisen nails this one. For example, one thing I really like is the introduction of reverse cursed energy. We're told that cursed energy is negative by nature, and we know that a negative multiplied by a negative makes a positive. So when it's revealed that the characters can use healing techniques, it's explained by the fact that sorcerers can multiply their cursed energy in order to make it positive by nature. Of course, when you get into the nitty-gritty, it's hard to imagine what multiplying negative energy would look like, which is even illustrated when Gojo asks how to do it himself. But it makes enough sense that we can keep our suspension of disbelief.
And yet, not everybody can do it. It's very hard. But then again, if you train someone to do it, everybody be busting out healing on themselves without someone coming up and heal them, you know? But it's different for Yuji. Spoilers, he learned reverse curse technique at the final arc. And it comes in it's very different for him because he's related to Shoujo kind of sorta. He's able to like manipulate his blood and transfer to like he transferred his cursed energy to freaking blood to heal himself. So he able to fight again. But not gonna be like instantaneous BS, bro. Slowly but surely type B. And it's just very odd, bro. It's still not good really to have usually be that much of a monster. And just able to do this. I said it myself, bro. He's a monster, bro. But still not good. It's still not good because damn, bro. If he can do it, what's the excuse of everybody else? Because they have an ability. One person has an ability to like have someone learn reverse curse technique. It's swapped out with that person. Like everybody learn how to do reverse technique. Everyone, except for Maki, which is like, yeah, it makes sense.
Now, it is worth noting that not everything in Jujutsu Kaisen is airtight. It's similar to Dragon Ball in that you have abilities like Gojo's that pretty much make perfect sense.
Oh! Not airtight! And yet you said freaking In the rules in Dragon Ball power system was clear, but yet you said it's not airtight. How was it clear? Like, yeah, he can just fly. The process, like, Videl and what? Videl and Gohan, like the whole flying session, like it was pretty difficult for him at first because it came in natural. But he told a human being to do it. It's like, okay, it's tough for them to learn. They were able to do it. Now I'm thinking about like, hey, if every human being on Earth learned how to fly based on Goku instructions, then a lot of people don't even need to fly like that, you know? What's stopping a regular person who's just wanna fly too, but you can't do it because you don't have enough ki? How can you generate more ki? You know what I'm saying? And to this day, Master Roshi just can't fly because of reasons. I thought what it was, but he just can't fly. But yet, a girl who just, has some like hands, has some hands, it was able to learn how to fly as well. She's not that strong, but she can fly as well, which is like, eh.
And then you have other kinds of abilities where you kind of just have to take it for granted. But for the most part, JJK is pretty airtight. Now, obviously, I've only touched the very basic ability.
Oh, this man is funny, dude. Wow. Yeah, he's wrong about that, bro. Having things airtight means that everybody comes to the conclusion that the power system is established to the point where we understand it without confusion. There should be no confusion what certain things should be do, or any confusion on certain people curse techniques or binding vows. To this day, binding vows is still confusion because certain people use it like a freaking get out of jail free card because there's no legitimate like consequences when people break it. They hardly do break it, and they limit themselves so much that it's like, okay, where are the consequences, bro? Are you stripping years out of your life because this ability? Or are you sacrificing a freaking your kidneys for it? Or you sacrifice your whole life just to get this power off? Like in Chainsaw Man, when someone say, "Yo, I'm gonna sacrifice my heart, talking about my liver, talking about my intestines, just to bust out this ability," and they literally lose it on the spot. Not like JJK, like it's like they hardly lose anything. Besides the fact that, oh, Miwa can't do the can't throw like cut no more. She can't use a sword no more. We never saw her even trying to attempt to do it. What happens if he does it? Is she gonna die? Is she gonna lose her limbs? Is she gonna go blind? What the consequences, bro? I want to hear it.
Abilities of Jujutsu Kaisen so far. And that actually brings me to my next point. And this is where we start to get into that threshold that separates good power systems from great power systems. The fourth thing every power system needs, and the first thing I think separates good power systems from great ones, is how accessible the power system is. And this is one that I'm going to explain very carefully because some people might consider it a hot take. To be clear, I think it is important that the general rules and applications of the power system be easy to understand. What I don't think is important is that every single ability in the story is something that you can immediately understand. And this is where we get into the all too familiar debate of like this are good writing or not. Hunter x Hunter is always getting named on for having abilities that you need to take a semester-long course on just to figure out how they work. And to that, I want to make 2 points. Well,
yeah, that's bad on him. That's bad on a freaking Togashi on that.
I kind of thought so when I was reading this chapter for the first
time. He overcomplicated that BS way too much.
So I think when people say things are complicated, we need to keep in mind that there's a clear difference between the
it's confusing
being complicated and the presentation being too wordy. It's something I'm going to go more in depth on in a sequel to this video, so make sure to check out it later. The second point I'd like to make here is
unbelievable.
It's complicated. That doesn't make it a bad thing. If you don't like abilities like this, that's fine. If you do, even better. This is why it's all the more important.
Give examples.
Easy to understand, because then you can sort of vary between applications that are also basic and ones that take a bit of time to understand. And
the whole BS with him busting out binding vows is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The best, like, I want to see someone break a binding vow so I can see the consequences that happen after the fact. To make sure like how dangerous it is to break binding vows. That never happened. Even if it did, it wasn't good. I know it didn't. I read the manga. And hardly anybody I know, from freaking Sukuna to like that damn comedian, no one really broke a binding vow or bust out a binding vow. Okay, if you want to bust out a binding vow like freaking Sukuna, then oh my gosh, It'll be trash. It'll be trash, bro.
This is exactly what we have in Jujutsu Kaisen. We have abilities like Black Flash, which are pretty easy to understand. And then we have abilities like Hikari's, which...
It's inconsistent. It's set out to be a critical. But I make a critical hit. Yuji is the exception because this man is channeling critical hits wherever he get the flow of the freaking combat, bro. So it's like, not everyone can do that. Not even Megami, dude. Where's Megami Black Flash if it's so common? Where's his Black Flash? Why he can't do that? He that bad? He sucks, bro. Where's freaking wait. Yeah, I'm bugging. I'm about to say, where's Maki Black Flash? She can't bust out Black Flash if she wanted to. She be too busted. She be too busted. The first time I see Sukuna busting out Black Flash was again spoilers for the freaking anime. Who cares about that no more? Sukuna finally busts out his Black Flash on Maki. I think it was 3 times or 1 time. No, he busts out a Black Flash, got her out of here like several times, bro. It was nasty. It was disgusting, really, real disgusting.
Which admittedly is somewhat sophisticated, but that's the beauty of it. You can have levels of understanding of his ability. It's broken down in a way where you can get the gist of it, and it's explained thoroughly enough such that the true nerds can dig deep into the fine.
Bro, we just stopped that, bro. With his fight with Kashimo, you get the full course of that, like what's going on. But after that, it was just him busting out for the sake of being immortal, bro. It was nothing to me at that point. I did not care. I not see a character who Hikari put inside that freaking spear get a bonus after that. It benefits him more often. Of course it is. It's his domain expansion. But if it's like a Russian roulette that certain people get certain bonuses here and there, then it doesn't matter, bro. It's just a stupid, boring thing. Which I have like a video about that, like the problem with Hikari. And the issue with the domain expansion is always have that one benefit of like him becoming immortal, but there's nothing else. And not him having more powerful. You don't have him being invincible. Like every hit that hits him, it just breaks. Yeah, nothing like that. And that all gets played for 1 minute. He's invincible. And he's immortal. He can't die. Blah, 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 blah. You know? And nothing else. There's nothing else to that besides him just being like Denji, who gets freaking cut up, but he's able to like keep on pushing, trucking, because he's immortal. Shit is boring.
Minor details
and busted
for his ability. So in this regard, Jujutsu Kaisen also passes. But what about my third point? I said
no, it doesn't.
3 things about complicated abilities. Well, the third one kind of ties into my 5th thing on this list. So the last thing I'll say about complicated abilities is that they aren't inherently good or bad. I think a lot of people who tend to ignore them should take the time to sort of wrestle with them. And I think people who hype up any kind of ability like this need to realize that sometimes they're just complicated for the sake of being complicated. So now let's talk about the 5th.
That's not good. At least get some examples. I don't even care. You're not being no.
And like I said, I don't even care, bro. I think that the biggest deciding factor between a good power system and a great power system is how well that power system allows for creativity. When you look at the power systems in your favorite shows, you can almost create a sort of spectrum. On one end is the crazy nonsense where there's no rules and it's basically up to the plot. On the opposite end would be a power system where there's absolute rules and the characters can never break away.
That's yeah, up to the plot because the writer is writing it, dude. Some writers like freaking Hiro Mashima will never stick to their rules because they don't care. They want to have the cool stuff happen. So if he gonna dismantle his own rule for the sake of having that cool moment, he will do that. Any writer would do that. That's the reality of the beast. I will break my freaking power system for the cool moment. Dragon Ball, Cell Deadly Sins, Fairy Tail, obviously. Even freaking Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. And it's fair because even though the full rule of Yu-Gi-Oh haven't been established yet for like the IRL card game, they still having people like in the show that being doing some bullshit that make no damn sense. And that's supposed to be a cool moment right there. But it didn't make no damn sense though. It made no damn sense. Beyblade, bro. Yo. I can go on and on, but you know what I'm saying, bro. Writers will break their rules or bend it or twist it for the sake of a cool moment. And it will be a cool moment. It will still be bad writing-wise.
System aims to achieve is a
it
sort
will
of
damage the story.
A sophisticated system of rules and a level of flexibility that allows the characters to do all kinds of crazy things.
That's why retcons exist. Retcons is there to be the true get out of jail free call for the sake of like having a cool moment. And sometimes the retcons can be very bad for the series or can improve it. Most of the time, it was very bad. Most of the time.
Of those rules. One series that I have to give praise to for this is Undead Unluck. For example, one of the main characters, Andy, is undead and can regenerate, but instead of simply regenerating, he goes one step further and will use his fingers as bullets and rips off his limbs and uses the resulting blood as a blade to cut his enemies. Here you have a very simple rule, but you also have the character applying
That's
it
for
in
him,
different
though.
ways. And this is something you can see in Jujutsu Kaisen as well. To use Gojo as an example again, he has his blue attack powered by negative cursed energy that has an attractive energy. He has his red attack powered by positive energy that has a repulsive effect. And he can also combine the two into hollow purple, which mathematically speaking creates an imaginary mass. It is a crazy combo of abilities that also perfectly...
But yet, Gay, as far as I read, he's not a math whiz. He made that into the story to make it sound cool. Even though the application of that can be very low ball or high ball, entirely up to you. He wrote that in to make it sound cool. Making sure that the attack itself is impossible to dodge, quote unquote. But Hanami did that. But anything else is like,
fits within the rules of the power system. There
It does what it does.
But I think you get the idea. So now that we've gone through our whole list, there's only time to Jujutsu Kaisen's
Hardly.
Again, it has rules, it's got cool abilities. The abilities
So this is a JJK video,
it's
bro.
accessible, and as we just saw, there's room for creativity. So if it checks off every box, then obviously this power system is perfect, and everyone can agree on that, right? Well, yes.
No.
Well, most people would agree that JJK
Dumbass.
is a power system. I think it's real
Come
value
on,
to start to
dude.
compare it to something like Nen or Stance. And here's why I think it falls short.
And on a surface level, it doesn't work that well. JoJo stands. They have their own rule. The basic rule of JoJo, I'll tell you right now, is the stands. You have a stand, they have an ability. Every time that stand gets injured, the person suffers for that. And when that stands die, the user will die. However, there are exceptions to that rule with Notorious B.I.G. and Kira's sheer heart attack. You can actually you can't damage sheer heart attack, that's a thing. But you can't stop it, which actually affects Kira in like very well. It hinders his progress. And Notorious B.I.G. doesn't activate until the character of B.I.G. is dead. And so on and so forth. I can go on this like stands after death, or you gotta like kill the person and the stand ability will activates. Some useless stands will be like that. Sometimes you don't get hurt at all because the stand like is like distant from you in a way, weirdly enough. Or what? It's actually its own sensitive being for stands. And for Nen, it's just a whole can of worms, bro. It's overcomplicated for no reason.
First techniques is the capacity for creativity. For example, when you look at something like Nen from Hunter x Hunter, there
Gosh,
are tons
damn.
of ways
No, it's not, bro. Because whatever curse technique you have, you lock stead on that technique. That's what you have. You can't change it. You can, I don't know, you can modify it to like something greater than that. You just have what you got. And the only way you can improve on it is bust out binding vows. And that's like a risky gamble right there, bro. And that's not even good. And then, yeah, it's free flowing. You can have like a certain person have like a specialist, but he can spread it to other brackets. But that goes for anybody. It really go to anybody, bro. But it's like, dude. Not even then is that good, bro.
manipulate one's aura, not even considering their actual Nen ability. JJK, like Hunter x Hunter, also consists of abilities that are largely determined at birth, and yet the creativity isn't nearly as good. So you have someone like Gojo, who can do...
Oh, so we agree on that.
Like Toto. He can clap, and that's about it. Now look at someone like Jogo. He can make fire, and that's about it. This isn't to say there aren't characters who can use...
So you gotta know the fact that he can conjure up freaking physical, like the earth itself to like conjure up. No, he can bust out flies, dude. Bull. Go, for some reason, Joker can just bust out freaking fireflies to do insane damage, and he can gather up things like items, like cars, the ground itself to make a freaking meteor, bro. What that had to do with fire? Yeah, he's a magma dude. But what had to do with gravity, bro? When he was doing that, like that freaking meteorite thing, that's not like freaking fire. That's gravity. That's straight up gravity manipulation from freaking Jogo, bro. That's nasty. All that was displayed in the anime, and I'm like, yo, that's kind of crazy. He's doing all this, and he's a magma guy, so he's not a fire dude. He's way more better than that, bro. That's crazy. Like you just like, subjugate him to that. But yeah, overall, like that's still stupid too. Like what he shouldn't be busting out like that kind of ability, like Meteor to just be. That's stupid. That's
bunch
stupid.
of different applications. But something like Hunter x Hunter is much more.
Cause Gravity's not part of Jogo's
Part of this
kit,
is because
but he was able to do that.
Types or natures like you see in Nen. So as another example, let's look at JoJo's. In JoJo's, the characters can do all kinds of stuff with their abilities. On top of that, you also have this rock, paper, scissors thing going on because you have different categories of stands. As a result, there's an additional layer to the fight where characters are thinking about how to overcome the obstacles created by these interactions. JJK doesn't really do that. It has its own types of curse technique.
Every environment is different. You could be on the boat. You can be in a tight space. You could be in like buildings, whatever. Things can change wherever you at. If it's like a freaking plane of exist, like you like on like a desert or something, and you throwing hands. Oh, desert one. Ooh, that was good. In part 3, it basically find the dude. You gotta find where he at. Because the freaking stand can travel so far away, he can do a lot more damage. If I'm taking that dude out, a lot of people would have died. But hey, since they found the dude, even though the fight was still tough, fights like that is very entertaining like that. And that all comes down to not being seen. You don't have to fight by pulling up, bro. Sometimes the fights can be very like a setup base with that freaking fire guy. Where the sun is there but it wasn't really not there, but it was there, you believed it and blah blah blah. Stuff like that can be very complicated, bro. Very complicated. But if you want to do like stupid fights, like OP fights, like fight against the world, King Crimson, World Overhead. Oh my gosh. Anything else? Like yo, that's some stuff you got like. Then you know the bullshit is happening around.
Among innate techniques, there aren't like power types or magic types. Or
JJK does it worse. This is the bad.
Nen fights or stand fights. So
I do it because I can. I do it because JJ says so.
JJK is like a high A tier or even a low S tier if we were.
I'm done. I'm not doing this no more. Yo, that's crazy. I can't believe you said that, OG. I can't believe you said that, bro. I can't believe you said that, bro. I'm done. I am done. A tier? You got it, bro. It's not a good video, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, bro. If I told you what my favorite power system been is like, it's definitely Yu Yu Hakusho, bro. Or series that have like a certain conduit and you can modify it the way it is. But it gotta be consistent. The best power system is consistent. Yu Yu Hakusho got it down locked. Freaking spirit energy, how people manipulate it to themselves, to their character, and consistent from beginning to end. Some good stuff, bro. That some crazy crap happens. It's consistent from beginning to end. Yu Yu Hakusho got that down packed. I'm so freaking disappointed that freaking Togashi overcomplicated that power system in his new series with freaking Nen, bro. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, Togashi? Are you serious? You disagree with me? Like or dislike, whatever. Comment your thoughts in detail. Not comment on my butt, right? Be easy. And relax, right? And subscribe for more content on the channel, bro. Shonen OG, bro. I don't agree with you on this, bro. I don't agree. Nah, I'm done with this. I'm done with this, bro. I'm done. But you got it, though. You got it. Your opinion is there. But I just disagree wholeheartedly, 100%, bro. That's great. Like 98%. I disagree. You have some stuff, good stuff here and there. You make some points that make sense. But the grand scheme of things, that's a land. So I'll be out. Y'all be safe. Be easy. Oh, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And be chilled. Yeah, bro. You are not cooking with this, OG. You are not whatsoever.